So what we're going to do is three things tonight, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to basically go through and quickly just introduce myself for you, those of you that don't know me. A few people are still jumping on. Hey, Melissa. And then I'm going to give you a history of myself and also a history of this work and where it's come from and, you know, the changes that we've been able to see within the ladies that we've been doing this work with and how it's also going to apply to you as well, because I think that's so important, okay? Secondly, what we're going to be doing is going through the process, okay? So a few of you on here would have done this process before, the recoding process or, you know, the magnetic belief process. So a few of you would have already done that and experienced that. A few of you, this is going to be really, really new. But what I want to do is really just explain to you, like I said, where this work comes from so that when we go to actually do the process, you have a really good understanding and, you know, your conscious part of your brain can actually I guess, understand and accept what we're doing, okay? So that's the experiences that we'll go through. And the third thing I'm going to do is just talk about, you know, how we can continue to create the things that you want in your life, okay? And, you know, perhaps there might be things that, you know, you might have wanted to have created for a long time or you've been working on something, but it's been a struggle. So it's really about looking at how you can start to implement these processes into your life to make that a lot easier and to get to your goals, whatever they might be, whether they're health related, fitness, you know, business, career, and that sort of thing. So to get to those goals with less struggle. Okay. So we do have a masterclass, we do have a program, and we do these sessions every week. And then I can go through and explain to you how that works if you'd like to stick around and listen to that as well. All right. So with that being said, I think everyone's right. Kathy's right now with her internet connection, which is really great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up some slides and we will get started and we will get stuck into it. So I just want to start sharing here and you should be able to start to see my slides there now, hopefully. So can everyone just let me know if you can see those slides okay? Just give me a yes in the comments box if those slides have come up okay. There we go. You should see them now. Right, I think we're good. Like I said, we're normally on Zoom, so this is a little bit new in here, but I think we're good to go. So this training is really for high achievers, okay? And what I mean by high achievers is, you know, women that want more, you know, women that want a really big life, okay? And, you know, for women that don't want to just settle for average or, you know, being mediocre, okay? So, and also the women that struggle to be consistent, you know, whether you're a mom, whether you're a woman that, you know, your kids are a little bit older or you might be, you know, single. It's like, you know, you have this goal or these big goals that you want to achieve. Thank you. Sorry, yeah, the slides are up. We're just a bit of a lag there. But, you know, you just really lack the belief and the conviction because you might have tried a few times before and you may have failed in the past, okay? So that belief around whether you can actually achieve your goals is not quite there. So throughout this, you're going to be able to see how you can achieve your goals, you know, and take the consistent action because that's the biggest part. It's the action taking, okay? And, you know, we do this in a way that you don't have to spend years, you know, working on yourself, you know, fixing yourself through different, you know, personal development seminars and, you know, always dealing with, you know, the problem, you know, you're always sort of coming up against all these problems, you know, with yourself. Okay. Now, just with the, you know, the time that we've got here tonight, like I want to make sure that you get the most out of this, okay? And I'm going to go through as fast as I can. So like I said, if you have any questions, make sure you do pop them in the chat box. But, you know, just really stay focused. And, you know, like I said, if you stay to the end, we're going to go through and we're going to actually have a experience, which is going to be really amazing. So it should be around about an hour 15, okay? But I'm going to try my hardest to go through because, you know, I'm very understanding that, you know, your time is valuable, okay? So I really want you to be, like I said before, interactive, you know, like, you know, with our coaching calls, we're normally on Zoom. So be interactive. I'm watching the chat box as we go through. So really just, you know, ask questions, interact, you know, take action right from the start. And I just really encourage you to take notes and write things down. And I just want you to get the most out of this, okay? So that you can go away from this feeling like you can take some really strong, inspired action, okay? So just agree that you will take that action. And it's really about, you know, not just learning information, but actually implementing that information as well, because, you know, it's not knowledge that's powerful. It's the action that you take from that knowledge. Okay. So we'll go through a little bit more about that later on. So just very quickly, I'm going to go through who I am, because a lot of you would have seen me before, you've worked with me before, or you know who I am. So I guess the really big thing is, just understanding that I have struggled, myself. You might think, well, I don't understand where you're at. I haven't walked in your shoes, and that's true. But I've had a lot of my own struggles in the past. And, about 10 years ago, I was in a really downward spiral, not just, on a health perspective, but, I had 3 boys quite close together, very close in age, and I was struggling in all aspects. Like, my health wasn't good. And we actually spoke about this on our coaching call last night. And I actually, went right into this. I was drinking really heavily, smoking. I wasn't eating well. I was doing a lot of binge eating, and, I was trying lots of things to lose weight and improved how I looked. But, I guess I was at that point that I just was really embarrassed with not just how my body looked, but also the habits that had taken control of my life. And one thing that I really want to focus on tonight is just, I was stuck in a business that I really hated. I was, prior to about, I think about 8 years before having my kids, I worked as an accountant. So that was what I did. And not to say that I didn't enjoy being an accountant, but, it didn't light me up, like at the time, I didn't mind it. I studied externally, I did my degree, and, I was working, and I had my kids though. And when I had time off, it was like, I sort of wanted to go back to work, but working full time was difficult. So people started to ask me to do their books, and, I thought, all right, well, that's something that I can do at home, and, I can work around the kids. But little did I know, like, I was creating a monster for myself. Like, I was, working in this business where, it started out great. I had all of these clients, but I couldn't handle it with the kids. It was really hard work. And I remember that, there would be nights where, basses were due and things were needed to be done. And I was working from like, morning to night to try and get all this work done. And I just grew to hate this business that I created. And it was really quite depressing. And, it was just, I was kind of doing it just because it was all I knew. I was good at it, but I wasn't passionate about it. So that was kind of, where I was like, right, I have these bigger aspirations. I have these bigger goals where I knew I wanted to do something a lot more meaningful within my life, and something really purposeful that kind of lit me up a lot more than just crunching numbers in an office. All right. So, rather than spending days forcing myself to go into the office, I just really wanted to do something that had more impact. And at that stage, like, I really felt like my soul was being destroyed, and I just couldn't find or feel like I could find any way out. And yeah, I remember, the physical feeling of sickness I would get going into my office every day. Now, not to say that, you ladies have that same experience, but, you might be trying to achieve some sort of goals, or that there's more to life that you want to achieve, but you're really struggling to know how to do that. And like, for me, I knew it was something bigger, and I wanted to help more people on a more powerful level. Okay. So like I said, I was drinking to hide the pain and to cope with the stress. Like, I didn't have very good stress coping mechanisms at all. And yeah, just trying to raise 3 boys with building this business. And back then I didn't actually think that anything else was possible. Like, I didn't think that I had any other skills to be able to, contribute or to give value, because I'd been working in this job since I was about 15, like when I left school. So it was kind of all I knew. So fast forward a few, years, I kind of went through this whole journey of, I just got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I closed my business down. I pretty much, had a bit of a breakdown, and, I had clients ringing me to do stuff, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it anymore. So, I didn't even look at selling the business. I just went, I need to stop. So, from then I kind of jumped from job to job, working, as a bookkeeper, accountant, that type of thing. And that was okay. I didn't have the stress and the worry of, finances and clients and all that sort of responsibility. And it was a lot easier. But again, I just still had this really deep feeling and calling that I was meant to be doing something more. And I didn't have that belief that I could do something different. Okay. And again, I thought I didn't know enough, or, I didn't have the skills, and, all of these beliefs kind of held me back. But I just had this burning desire, and it's taken me a lot of time, but I've overcome, all those baggages and all those beliefs, and I've gotten on top of my destructive habits, and, I'm healthy now, and I've learned how to maintain a strong, healthy body. And And that's kind of where my passion lied. And now that's what I do with helping other women. And a lot of the women that are in our coaching program are on the call tonight, which is fantastic. And it's just, it just inspires me and I'm just fulfilled. Okay. So that's kind of my backstory. And I guess the reason I'm here is because I know the pain and the frustration and the embarrassment of, not being happy and just embarrassment of not being able to take control of your life. Okay. And, just feeling like you're kind of wasting your life. But I also know how good it is to feel, when you're on the other side as well. So, I've gone on to be certified in, fitness and health and, I guess that's where I've used my business skills. So they weren't all lost. I've been able to create this amazing program for women to be able to help them, create strong toned bodies themselves without, being restricted and doing lots of unsustainable things. And also to be able to completely rewire their habits as well and, their thoughts and their behaviors, which I think is so impactful. Now we live in the beautiful Whitsundays and we run retreats for ladies as well up here, which, they're always amazing as well. And just things that I never thought were possible a few years ago, I've been able to create. So, and that's really what I want to show you ladies tonight and to do it without all the years of struggle and, sacrifice and searching that I went through. So I've got a couple of comments here in the, in this section. Is there a record? Yeah, hi, there is a recording. Yeah, so if you need to leave early, that's totally fine. We will I will send you through the recording. Okay, so basically that's where we're at in terms of, I was frustrated, confused, very, very depressed. And I've just been able to create this system now, with other women. And I really just want to take it out into the wider community, this work that we do in terms of the magnetic belief system that we've created to be able to really just help other women to do the same. And like I said, without having to spend years and lots of time, trying to fix themselves. And this system that I'm sharing with you before, like it's what's been able to help me create, all of these things in my life, and it's possible. And that's my vision, that's my big vision now. And that's where my passion lies, is empowering other women to do the same, creating without struggle. It doesn't have to be hard, and you can reach your goals, that goal of being confident, being happy, feeling fulfilled in your life, in your career, with your health, with your relationships. And it makes me so excited to know that, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you've got a bigger calling or you're dying inside, like I know what that's like. So I guess it matters to you because, I can help you to overcome that. And we're going to look at doing that today, so that you can create and you can get to your goals. Okay. So when we look at, what we once believed impossible, and that's what's exciting about this work is, it's a bit much like the 4-minute mile. Everyone said that wasn't possible. No one could possibly run that fast until Roger Bannister actually broke the 4-minute mile. Okay. And that comes to, to us and who we are and our personalities and the things that we do or don't do. Because at one stage, there was this belief that the brain was fixed. And, once you got to a certain age, around about that 35 mark, that's just who we are. This is our personality. This is who we are. We can't change it. We have to live with it. And, if we can change, it's very, very hard to change, usually without much success. Okay. But we now know that that's not true. Okay. So like I said, firstly, I want to take you through the neuroscience, the knowledge around this, so that your conscious brain or the conscious part of you can understand the process. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through, I'll explain the superconscious, what that is, and then we'll go through an experience. Okay. And I'm really excited for that because it always makes me feel good because, I get so much out of it, as well as the benefit that you will get as well. And you'll start to feel some really big shifts happen there. And then I'm also going to explain to you the 5 steps to conscious creation. And this is really, really powerful so that you can understand how to create everything that you want in your life. All right, so let's do a bit of a check-in. How's everyone going? Is everyone still with me? Everyone's hearing me okay? And everyone can kind of just check in, make sure that my sound's still working, my internet's still hopefully working before I go too far getting into it. That's all good. Beautiful. All right. Now, this is one of my favorite words, okay? Neuroscience, neuroplasticity. I love this arena. I love talking about this. I love learning about this. It's kind of been what, started me off in this area and this passion. Beautiful. Everyone's still with me. That's perfect. Love it. So yeah, neuroscience, neuroplasticity, that's what tells us that we can actually rewire and we can recode the brain. And, even if there's parts of our brain that are damaged or injured, other parts of our brain can actually take over those actions. Okay. So what's happening in your life right now, everything that you've got going on is just what you've coded up. Okay. And that's what's really, really interesting. I find is, a lot of us aren't living to our fullest potential or our fullest expression of what we can do in life. And that's where I was for a very long time. So who agrees with that? Like, do you feel like, when you look around, there's not a lot of people that you see that are just kind of going after their goals? They're just doing it. They're just living life. They're not living in fear. They're not stressed. They're not worried. They're kind of they're just doing their thing and going after what they want. And that's really, that's right, Heidi. So that's what I'm really about. I'm so passionate about just helping others, to step into their full expression, to be able to live and to go after their goals and do those things that they once thought was impossible, and really just making that their reality very easily. So just give me a yes in the comments box if you are up for making something happen. Like, if you truly believe that you can be more, you can do more, you have more expression that you would like to give and to share with the world. And it doesn't have to be with the world. It could be just your family, your immediate family. 100%. Yeah, that's perfect. I don't know. I just get so excited about this because I think everyone just has so much potential that it's inspiring when you see people that just want to go for it, which is why everyone's here, which is great. And that's what it's about. It's about you today. Okay. And you're a woman who has aspirations and goals, which is amazing. But you just can't sometimes understand, why you haven't been able to fully create the life that you desire. Like, you get intellectually, you're a smart person, you kind of feel like you should be able to do it, but there's just something that holds you back. Okay. And that's my goal today, is just really showing you the science and techniques that you must be able to learn to take that consistent action towards your goals, and, without those old thoughts and behaviors and habits getting in the road. Okay. And a lot of the ladies in here that I work with within the health realm, this for you will be a health goal. Not to say that, you can't work on something else, whether that be business, whether that be creating something new within your life, a new relationship. And, it's really about mastering, what you want to work on. Okay. So one big thing that I really, really want to point out to you is success is not personal. It's actually structural. Okay. Now that's quite a hard, sentence to sum up, but, there's this underlying premise that success is reliant on you. Okay. And your thinking, and, that if you can't improve yourself enough, then, suddenly success is going to jump out at you if you can actually have that improvement. And I want you to hear this, that's actually not correct. That's the biggest problem. Like, when women try to improve themselves through personal development, what they're really actually saying is that they're broken in some kind of way, or, unless you improve yourself, that you can't have what you want. So we kind of, get stuck on that, and we have this big, lie kind of, pushing us forward, that, you have this belief that there's something wrong with you. I felt that for a long time. I'm like, why can't I be happy? Why can't I do these things? And I always thought I needed fixing, and I was searching for that. But I need you to know, and I want you to know, that in order to get what you want, you have to really truly believe this, that you can have everything that you want without actually changing a thing about you. And I think that's really exciting, because, like I said before, success isn't personal. Okay. It's not about fixing yourself. There's thousands of people that have created really great lives and achieved amazing things, but, they didn't have it all together. They didn't have to fix themselves first. So, but there's really hugely successful people out there that, they're wealthy, they're abundant, but they don't feel like they have to meditate every day, or, say affirmations, or, all of those things that we kind of think that we have to do to be successful. But on the other hand too, there's always successful people who aren't happy, so So instead of fixing yourself, I really want you to focus on going out and creating, okay? So we don't need to spend a lifetime improving and fixing and knowing more and gaining more knowledge, okay? And that's what I did for years. You know, I read the books, I did the meditation, you know, the personal development courses, the NLP, you know, psychic healers, kinesiologists, changing the diet, you know, EFT tapping, hypnosis, all that sort of stuff, reading all the law of attraction books. And you know, we just can't understand, like, why can't we still make a change? And let me know if you've done this. Like, give me a couple of comments in the chat box. Like, if you've done similar things, if you've done other things that, you know, you try to kind of fix yourself. And that's just a few things. There's probably like many, many more that you've probably tried as well. So yeah, that was really the first thing I had to do, was realize that, you know, success wasn't personal. It wasn't just about me. Okay. And what happens over time is when, you know, we have that belief that we have to fix ourselves, we just create that identity that says, I'm not good enough. Okay. That, you know, I don't know enough. You know, I'm not capable enough, all of these things. Okay. Yeah, Reiki, subconscious reprogramming, stone healing, yeah, like so many things. And we're just searching and searching. And we think that there must be this secret that somebody else knows or everyone else knows except for us. And it's very frustrating. So yeah, definitely get that. So with the identity that I spoke to you about before, you know, that identity becomes who you are. You know, I have to fix myself. So, you know, you've got this belief that, you know, you just have to do, you know, something. I've got to fix myself. You know, I'm not perfect the way I am. So I look at, you know, these women here, you know, Lady Gaga and J.K. Rowling's, you know, they've been able to create amazing things, but, you know, they're not perfect. They've come from, you know, really tough backgrounds and they've had to overcome a lot of things, but, you know, they've just been able to create, okay? They've been able to create, you know, what they've wanted within their lives. Yeah, Jody, that's right. You keep jumping from one thing and you just keep searching, and you just, you know, it's just an ongoing thing that you just feel like you're missing something. So why don't we have it? Like, why do we keep jumping from one thing to the next? Why don't we have what we want? And this is a really big epiphany. Sorry, I'm just reading a few more. Yeah, kinesiology, Reiki. Yeah, absolutely. So this is one thing that I really want you to take note of is, you know, it's really about realizing that any resistance, you know, that you have is created by you. You know, all the resistance that you have as to why you're not getting to where you want to be is created by you. And, you know, for me, that was kind of upsetting. It was like, well, you know, I've created all of this. And when I heard that, I'm like, well, you know, okay. But then I'm like, well, that's good, because there's nothing essentially wrong with me. There's just a bunch of resistance that I've created. Okay. And that was a really interesting concept. And I got this when I learned this through a guy named Chris Duncan. Okay. So he taught me this work that is really amazing. And this is where this process has come from. Okay. And, you know, up until that point, I'd just been trying to fix myself with all of those things. But the big key that I discovered, you know, it was my identity. You know, I'd created this identity, you know, that I couldn't create a business, you know, that I couldn't change. You know, I grew up in a working class home, you know, working 9 to 5, and you had to, you know, just suck it up and do your work and get on with it. So I kind of had created that identity for myself, you know, but, you know, the thing was I had to let go of that identity, and, you know, I didn't need to fix it or improve it. Okay. So, one of the things that, you know, I got taught was, and this really, really resonated with me, that, you know, you really have to be it before you see it. You know, if you're someone who's always searching, who's always looking, you're always going to be that person who is searching and looking. And when I realized that, like, everything clicked, you know, and when I was doing that, I was reinforcing that I was not it. You know, when I was like, I hate my work, I hate my job, you know, I was just reinforcing this, you know, person that didn't enjoy their work. Okay. And with all the habits that I had been reinforcing that, you know, I didn't have a healthy lifestyle, and, you know, I'd struggled to find time, and I was too busy, and I was making all the excuses, and I was making it really hard on myself. Okay. And I wasn't being that person who had a fulfilling, successful business. Okay. And I realized that really everything that stopped me was coming from an unconscious program, and I just hadn't found that yet. And that was really like mind blowing for me, because I'm like, all right, there's something there. I haven't found it yet, but I can find that. Okay. And that's really what I discovered. And really what I want you to hear is, you are stuck in a sabotage pattern with your desire. Okay. So my desire, I wanted a business where I was impacting, thousands of people on a really powerful level, not just doing their best, not just doing their books, that was, to me, that was a dread. And my desire was to have a healthy body and to maintain it without, having to drink and smoke and eat rubbish food or use exercise as like a form of punishment. And really that was like my stress relief, with the work that I didn't enjoy. And that was my excuse for a long time. So this is really powerful too, because when you look at those identities, and when you look at what I mentioned before about, being stuck in a sabotage pattern, it's because you've created one of these 6 identities, okay? And these identities, whenever they're there, they're always going to stop you from having what you want. Now, these identities were created though, precognition, to try and help you to navigate the world, okay? So I'm just going to flip over here to the next slide, and I'm just going to bring some of these up. And just as I'm speaking, I just want you to comment in the comments section, in the chat section, whether you can resonate with some of these, because I think at some level we all can resonate with at least one, and probably maybe all of them. Okay, so the first identity that you create is you're unworthy, and I think that's a really, really big one. So whenever you set a goal that you want to achieve, it's like you have to be worthy. And if you were worthy enough, it's like that unworthy part of you would have to die. Okay. And that's really hard to do. And that's your identity. Same with being not good enough. If you're not good enough to reach this goal or to get to that place, where you are really, really happy, it's like that part of you that feels not good enough would have to die. Same with, not belonging and being significant. All of them, yeah, like these are really huge. Like I think these 6 identities, I think we can probably all relate. I don't have the capacity. That was a big one for me. I always thought I didn't have the capacity. Like being a mum, I never had enough time. I never had enough resources. I never had enough money. I never had enough knowledge. Like I was like, I never had enough. I didn't have the capacity to do what I wanted to do. So, even being perfect, to sort of go, right, when you're a child, you have to be like, if you want a toy, you have to be good. If you're not perfect, then you don't get rewarded for that. I'm not good enough and I don't belong my daily lives. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's powerful to know that this is kind of, we think that, like I said before, when we have these things, that there's something wrong with us. There must be something wrong with us when we tell ourselves this. And I even think it's quite powerful when we can actually realize that, a lot of women probably see themselves as, at least 2 or 3, if not all of them. Okay. Now, what happens is, the child with the toy example, when we're growing up, when we're small, when we're toddlers, we don't have a conscious filter. So if we're being told off by someone that we love, it's like, you don't have that conscious filter to be able to go, okay, well, that's not actually true, so you actually just take that on board, and that's how these identities are created. Okay. So I really just want you to kind of just sit with those and just really think of, just a few that you could really resonate with. And just when you think about your thought patterns that do come up during the day or during your life, or when you're trying to reach a goal, or when you're going after something that you want, what are the ones that are the most significant that come up for you? Belinda says, I never felt insignificant until I became a mum. That's actually really true, because a lot of our significance, it kind of just disappears. Our kids become significant. Doing things for them becomes significant. So that's a big one. And sometimes, we put ourselves at the bottom of the priority list, and it's like we become invisible. So once you've had a bit of a think about that, it's like, those 6 patterns are there. And, you'll never get to see it until you be it. Like, to me, that's so powerful. And I guess when you look at why that is, it's because your goal, the goal that you want to get to, is actually violating your identity. Okay. So I just want to let you kind of sit with that for a moment. It's like, the goal, for someone who's, not good enough is like they're pretending that they need fixing. Okay. I need to be good enough first. Okay. And the good thing is, we don't have to fix ourselves, okay? And you don't have to, improve yourself to have success. And the ideas of, I've got to fix me, and then I'm just going to suddenly pop into the world and, everything is going to be as it is, okay? It doesn't happen like that. You just have to go for it, and you have to stop trying to fix it, okay? And I really started to get this when I realized that, my beliefs and my feelings are not reality. Like, these are just things that we're telling ourselves, okay? My beliefs and feelings are not reality. Like, that's big. I want you to just sit with that as well and just write that down, okay? So your beliefs and reality, they don't make you, they're not, that's not you, okay? That's not reality. Your feelings and your beliefs, that's not reality, okay? And I think when you really sit with that, it's like, if that's the case, then, my reality doesn't have to be this way. Okay, because you can change. And that's what neuroscience and epigenetic actually explains. We have neuroplasticity within our cells and within our brain, because between the ages of 0 and 7, most human beings, have no conscious thoughts. Okay, so, we're in this low level unconscious brain frequency. We're in theta, in this theta brainwave frequency, and, we just accept everything as it is because, like I said before, we don't have that conscious filter. And that's where, we get told off, by our parents, or something happens. We kind of just accept that. We don't have a filter to kind of reject that, okay? And that's why we code up all of these things within our reality as absolute, because we don't have that filter. So, you might be someone who may want to, create a business where you have to maybe get up and speak to people, or, or speak in front of people or in front of a crowd, but, you've got this fear of doing that. And it's not to say that, if you've got that fear that, you're broken, you're just somebody who, you have that belief that, somewhere along the line that has been, something that's been scary for you, or that's created a fear. Okay. So, when we go through this process, what's going to happen is we're actually going to start to recode the brain. And I just find this so fascinating. And, you'll be making new connections and creating new structures within the brain. And that's what we call neuroplasticity, okay? And up until the 70s, like, we thought that the brain was hardwired, but your brain can create new connections, and you can let go of these things, all of these beliefs that you're holding on to. And a lot of the learning that I have done is through Dr. Joe Dispenza. So that's where I got really interested in this, like a lot of his books, and he's done a lot of studies with thousands of people with real-time brain scans. So it's, it's very scientifically based, and there's lots of data and research around this. And, it's talking about, the trauma too, like, just because you've had things happen to you in the past, you can let go of them. Okay. So, it's really about being able to just let these things go. And it's one thing also that you need to realize is your brain is actually happy to recode, and it's completely safe to do so. It's not something that isn't safe. It's your brain is happy to do that. And like I said before, I've studied with Dr. Joe Dispenza as an advanced student. I've attended pretty much all of his week-long retreats in Australia. So he's a really amazing guy. And, Chris Duncan as well, who I've been working with, who's created this amazing process. So it's really about teaching the brain to recode at a super conscious level. And I really just want to explain the difference again, just so that your conscious mind can understand what we're going to do. Okay. So just before we go through into me just quickly going through this, and then we're going to get into the actual process, just let me know how you're traveling. How are you going there? Is this kind of sinking in? I'm hoping I'm not going too fast. Like I said, I'm really just conscious of the time. But just let me know how you're feeling about all of that so far. Just give me a comment in the chat section. Marie's good. That's awesome. That's really good. Hopefully you can see a few of those 6 identities that often come up for you. I can definitely relate to many of them. Jodie's good. That's perfect. Heidi is a thumbs up. And let me know too if you've kind of heard of this before, like this, the self-conscious, unconscious, superconscious, or if this is something that's completely new to you. Because some of you, like I said, have done the recodes before. Some of you have not done them before. So it'd be really interesting just to see who is completely new to this. Misha's loving the pace. That's good. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking 100 miles an hour. But I want to make sure that, like I said, I'm conscious on time, and I want to get to the good part. I want to get to the recode. So that's the exciting part. So Jody, you sound like you've done this before. You've learnt this in something else. Sarah's good. I'm training hypnosis. That sounds similar. Good. Yeah, perfect. So you would kind of understand this whole process of the conscious, 3 levels of consciousness. Sarah, yeah, she's done the recode. Sarah loves the recodes, which is amazing. They're so powerful. All right, that's really good. So everyone's good. We're going at a good pace. So very interesting. Recoding is all new to me. Yeah. So it's kind of, I guess, recoding in itself is kind of a new word. Superconscious is, there's lots of different names for it, but it's really interesting stuff. I used it in my work with stroke survivors. See, that's how amazing it is. Like, obviously brain injury, stroke, and doing this type of work, like that is absolutely phenomenal. So you would see how powerful that is, Jody. So that's really good. So the first level of consciousness we have is the self-conscious, okay? And that's, starts at about age 6 or 7, okay? And the self-conscious wants a good life, we all want to have a good life. We all want to live life to the best that we can. So, but the thing is, it's only about 5% of our actual decision-making process, okay? So that's the self-conscious. So it's like you can sort of see why, we want things, but, we're really only in control of like 5% of what we want, or that conscious level, okay? So the second level is the unconscious, okay? So that's from 0 to 7, and this is the automatic processing, okay? So the unconscious wants survival, okay? So it wants to survive, and that's what is really great about the unconscious, though, is that we can actually program it. And a lot of the work that I did with Dr. Joe Dispenza was working around, reprogramming the unconscious mind through meditations, okay? So that's kind of good in theory. Like, it's one thing to go, do a meditation, and I personally love his meditations, but not everyone has the patience or the time or the depth of understanding to actually study, the background of this, to understand it, to be able to do it, okay? So, when you look at unconscious, you're programmed to listen to, the English language coming out of my mouth. Other people are programmed to listen to another language, so we all have this programming going on. And the unconscious is just, it's coded up, and you can actually train it, okay? So just pretty much like you've trained it to drive a car, okay? Or, to brush your teeth. If you kind of, took that hand away and hurt it and had to brush your teeth with the other hand, like, it would be quite difficult. So you have that motor memory going on there. So, and then the memory that you took from, when you look at the superconscious, the sperm that come from your father and the egg that came from your mother, like, that's a superconscious innate intelligence, okay? And that's passed down from your mother and your father. And it's actually been studied that with the superconscious, we can actually have up to 7 generations of family coding passed down through our superconscious memory, okay? So superconscious, it's got a few names, the 0 point field, the quantum field, just the field, there's lots of different names for it, but it's really that innate intelligence that, that makes us who we are, and, that turned us into, a cell with, a beating heart into a human being, okay? And like I said before, with the memories passed down from, the different family generations, you think about, say a generation is sort of between 20 and 25 years, where you were 7 generations ago, like that's big, So, all of those memories, all of those thought patterns, they're just sitting there that have been passed down from, from our family. And it's sometimes, we wonder why we can't get what we want, because we have all of those other aspects that have been, passed down through that superconscious, okay? So the superconscious wants to experience, okay, and it doesn't care what it experiences. It just wants it. It just wants that human experience of, you know, poverty and riches and, you know, getting to your goals and happiness and sorrow and all of that. It's like that's what it wants. So it's, you know, makes it great because from, you know, a superconscious level, that's the easiest part to recode because it doesn't mind, number one, and it's where everything originates from. Okay, so that's the really powerful part about it. So when you do this superconscious work, it's awesome to see as well because, you know, your family will start to shift. You know, you'll start to do this work. You know, you'll start to see shifts in your kids. You'll start to see, I nearly said shits then, you'll start to see, don't get the shits with your kids, but your kids will probably start to shift. You know, other family members will experience shifts as well because you're, you know, shifting the field, the superconscious field, okay? So we're very, very close to getting into this. So I just want to stop and just touch base with everyone and just see if you have any questions around that so far. And hopefully I have explained that in a way that, you know, your mind can understand. So it's really about just, you know, regrouping now, making sure that you consciously, the kids are shits. Yeah, they are a lot of the times. I nearly said shits, but shifts, there's an F in there. So it's really just important to make sure that you understand that you kind of don't have any questions. And when we go and do the recode, what I do is I actually will call up the resistance in your memory structure. Okay. And that's what's stopping you from taking action because, you know, your memory with the superconscious, the unconscious and the self-conscious, it's the memory is what's causing the belief. And the belief causes the emotion, and the emotion is actually causing the resistance, okay? Now, I know a few of you that I've actually spoken to in the last few days, like you might have those emotions that come up that stop you from taking action, and that's where, you know, we need to shift that, okay? So, you know, you have to remember that the memory, it might be coded from generations ago, you know, and that's something that we can shift. And you may not consciously remember that, and that's okay, and you won't, okay? But we'll call the experience up, and it will be there, and then you will just let it go, okay? And then when we finish, it's kind of like a bit like, okay, well, you know, I just don't feel it there anymore. But your conscious facility won't actually know that it was cleared, okay, or what was cleared. All right, so is everyone okay with that? And the more super conscious that we go, the more that you will actually start to feel the shift, okay? And, you know, that's what we do. We bring up the resistance in your experience. And kind of, I think of it like, because I had boys, like a football field, you know, like you've got a football or a soccer field and, you know, you're trying to play, but then, you know, you have all these little like gophers kind of coming up and like digging holes and then making mounds all over the football field. And it's really like making it hard for you to navigate towards the goal. So really what we want to do is we want to start to, you know, I guess, smooth out those mounds and just kind of smooth away the dirt and just, you know, bring it out so we have a clear playing field. And it's really about, you know, taking all that resistance away between you and getting to your goal. Okay. And so what I'll do is when I do the commands, you know, simply what will happen is, like I said, the mounds will kind of just, you know, fade away and we'll just take those out and we'll just flatten and we'll just create that really even playing field for you. All right, so you don't have to do anything in this work, okay? So I can't remember who it was. I think Heidi mentioned she was doing, she said something about hypnosis, okay? So this isn't hypnosis that we are doing. Like, you won't have to remember the experience. You don't have to do anything. It's, you know, it's really safe to do. And the people on here that have done a recode, maybe just pop in the chat box, you know, just, I guess, the experiences that you've had with your first recode, just so the ladies that are trying this for the first time can get a little bit of an understanding just as we go through it. All right, so like I said, you don't have to do anything, but what we want to do is just go through some questions first, because I want you just to pick one thing that I want you to work on or that you really want to work on, okay? So we're just going to go through some questions. Then I'll ask you to close your eyes and then I'll guide you through and then we'll come back, okay? So the first question is, you know, picking something. Yeah, Charmaine did one today. That's amazing. And it is relaxing and it is so easy. And, you know, I do one at the start of the week and I'm pumped. You know, I'm good. I'm so focused the rest of the week. Like, it's so amazing. All right, so the first question is what you would like to create in life. Now, you don't have to type it in the chat box. You can if you want. If you want to just write it down, that's fine. Maybe it's, you know, an amazingly healthy body. Maybe it's, success in your career, success in your business, whether it's more money, whether it's a loving relationship, a better relationship. Just pick one thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, and falling asleep, that's completely fine. Like, if sometimes that happens, you will fall asleep. But again, we're working with a super conscious in the field, so it's okay if you fall asleep and that conscious part of you is asleep. The super conscious is still aware of what's going on. So falling asleep is absolutely fine. Sarah says fit and healthy body. That's amazing. And that's such a great goal, because it just, that's something it's not a specific weight goal. It's not a specific, you don't have a preconceived outcome that you have to get to. It's just like, this is what I want. Nisha says a world-class speaker impacting millions for the positive while being wildly abundant. That is absolutely fantastic. I love that. That is so impactful. That's huge. And Sarah said, yeah, she's fallen asleep too. Falling asleep, absolutely fine. Okay, so once you've gone through and you've gotten to what you want, just make sure, write it down, go through and pop it in the chat box. Like I said, you don't have to. Now, what I want you to do is just, for a moment, just close your eyes and just really tune into what that is that you want to create, okay? And this is part of setting up for the recode, okay? So I'm going to do this with eyes closed just for the moment. And just, I want you to really imagine that you have that now. So that goal, that desire that you've written down is, you're just really tuning into that's actually a part of your reality right now, okay? And that's really easy to do. So just close your eyes and, just step into having whatever it is that you just wrote down, and say to yourself, I choose that end result, okay? That's what I want. I choose that, the end result of a healthy, fit body, the end result of being a world-class speaker impacting millions while being wildly abundant. I choose it, and this is what it feels like, okay? This is what it feels like to have it now. So what I choose is, I choose to have the end result of positively impacting thousands of women this year through my coaching programs. And it feels like gratitude. It just feels like deep gratitude to be able to share myself and this work with the world, okay? So really just tune into what that feels like. And then once you've done that, I just want you to come back, because just open your eyes, just come back, and we're really just planting that seed in the brain, okay? So you're really just planting that seed, and we're just going to really just find out what that's actually like, okay? So now I want you to step into, compared to that, what you just felt like. What is life like right now, okay? So I want you to type it out or write it down. What is it like now? What is it like, the feeling now compared to where you want, okay? So how does it feel? Like, do you feel frustrated? Do you feel stressed? And it's not to beat yourself up. It's not to feel bad. It's just really about getting into that tension of where you're at right now, okay? So because we've got really two ends, we've got one goal of where we want to get to, and we've got the goalpost where we are right now. So we've got those two ends, okay? The starting point and that goal. Okay, and then when you look at the emotions, okay, frustrated, yeah, that's a big one. Frustrated is a really big one. That used to be a huge one for me. I just used to feel so frustrated. Okay, so what emotions are there? Frustration, anxiety, fear. And then also too, while you're looking into that, look at what beliefs are stopping you from having this, okay? So a big one for me was, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I believe this. Okay, stress. Yeah, that's a big feeling as well. Like, stress is huge, and that has such an impact on our body, that feeling of stress. And all of those beliefs that I spoke about before will start to probably pop up here. Not being good enough, not having the time, not having the resources, like all of those beliefs that stop you from getting to that goal that you want to get to. There might be one, there might be two, there could be a few more. So it's really just bringing those into your active experience so that you can really be aware of those. Maybe it's the need to be perfect. You have to have everything lined up in a row before you start. Okay, maybe you believe it's hard, or it's greedy to want more money, or it's bad to want that goal, or that's for other people to attain, not for me, because it's unattainable for me. So just as you're writing that down, I just want you to really just notice how that feels, and just realize all of these things that are in the way. Okay. And when you look at that, it's like you don't have to change. Okay, we don't need to fix you. You're absolutely perfect the way you are right now, but we just need to not have these structures in the way of what we want. Okay, so what I want you to do is really just feel into it and just put a circle in your mind around that resistance that you've written out, and any other resistance that comes up. And I just want to ask you. Oh, sorry, Siri's thinking that I'm talking to her. No, Siri. I'm here. Oh no, it's my iPad. No, there we go. Sorry. So what I want you to do is out of 10, 10 being the amount of resistance that you have, and it's like you're swimming upstream towards your goal, and it's really difficult and it's really hard. Whereas 0 would be like no resistance, you're swimming downstream, getting to your goal is really, really easy. Okay. So I want you just to rate your resistance level out of 10, between 0 and 10. And then when you look at it, I sort of look at a resistance level above 5 is you're not going to get there. Like, it's going to be really difficult for you to get to your goal because it's really exhausting. Like, you'll feel like you're pretty much pushing proverbial shit up a hill. Like, I will say shit this time, not shift, but that's kind of how it feels like. And you've got more resistance than you have got flow. Okay. So you're just pushing and pushing, and it's just hard. Okay. So in the chat box, if you like, just maybe write a number or write it down on your piece of paper. Sarah's a 5. That's actually pretty good, Sarah. That's actually really good. That's actually quite good. 10 is like, oh my God, like my goal just seems so unattainable and so hard to get to. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to get that resistance down for you. Okay. So we want to lower that resistance. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the closed eye process. Okay, Marie's a 6. Sarah used to be a 10. That's a huge shift, Sarah. Yeah, a 9 and 8. Okay, so that's some pretty big resistance. And you could probably all agree that it's really difficult to do what you want to do with that level of resistance. Okay, so with this recode, like I said, you don't have to do anything. I'm going to give you all the instructions. You keep your eyes closed. You just relax. You just breathe. It's quite a relaxing process. And I just tune in as we go through this. So just observe, and notice anything that happens. You might have some, tingles in your body, some sensations in your body. Like I said, it's not hypnosis. It's more like a meditation process. And you'll start to feel some shifts, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop my screen sharing in a minute as we close our eyes. And then what I'll do is I'm going to do one round, okay? And then I'm going to ask you to come back to me. And then I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. Then I'm going to get you to give me some feedback to see where the resistance has shifted to. And then we'll go back in again and we'll clear it out some more, because sometimes when it's your first time, it's like, your brain is still thinking a little bit about what's going on and maybe even resisting it to a degree as well, okay? So I just want you to just relax. You might just want to grab a drink of water, just sit in a really comfortable position, and just close your eyes, okay? And just give me a second. I'm just going to grab a drink of water just so I can get ready. I'm not going to see the chat box while we're doing this because I'll have my eyes closed as well. So we'll just go through it, and then once we're ready, I'll bring you back, okay? So if you are ready, just type in the chat box for me, yes, or give me a number 1 if you're ready. If you want me to wait a few seconds while you just grab a drink of water or something, that's fine too. And then we will get started. Marie's ready. Okay, perfect. And like I said, you don't need to do anything. This is a beautiful, relaxing process. And what I want you to do is just in your mind, okay, you don't say it out loud, just in your mind. I really just want you to just be okay to give me permission just to connect to that super conscious part of you, okay? And just, if you give me permission to connect, then just close your eyes and just wait and just breathe as we go into this beautiful process, okay? All right, so take some nice big deep breaths, and I'm just going to connect. So just when you're ready, giving me permission to connect to your superconscious. And I just want you to really choose just to have a really great experience. You're just experiencing this, and it's just going to just really increase the satisfaction in your life, okay? Just really increasing that satisfaction. You'll have a great experience. Taking some nice deep breaths. Superconscious, are you there? Superconscious, please bring up all the resistance into the active experience there is around this choice. Just into the active experience, I just want you to be aware of the emotions of worry, of stress, that fearful emotion and that doubt and that unknowing. And any other emotion that causes resistance. Just want you to please treat all the emotions and everything as needed and do a massive change history and superconscious recode. Thank you. Just breathing, nice deep breath, just being really present with your breath. And superconscious, just want you to see the original event. Just find that original event in this timeline or pass down through past timelines. Just want you to go to the original event that created this resistance and please treat and do a massive change history and full superconscious recode on the original events and any other events as needed. Thank you. Just breathing into that and keeping your eyes closed. Just really noticing what you notice. And I just want you to bring up superconscious, please, all of these structures and memories. All of those beliefs, those emotions in the energy centers in the body, and just bringing up all of those into the active experience, all of the thought structures, the memories and beliefs that are causing that resistance to this choice. Superconscious, please do a massive change history on all of those thoughts, beliefs, all of those memories. Superconscious recoding everything as needed. Thank you. I just want you to bring up the emotion of stress, including the heart center, stress in those lower centers of the body, stress in the stomach, that really tight feeling, that restricted feeling in your stomach, and into the throat center and the thyroid, through the pituitary gland, into that throat center, in those areas of digestion, all of those areas, just feeling all of that resistance, all of those emotions. Superconscious, do you see the body systems and the emotions they hold? Please treat and do a massive change history and everything is needed. Thank you. So just take some nice big deep breaths and just allow whatever shifts that you feel happening in your body, just allow that to continue to shift. Just become aware and present with your body and just feel those sensations. And superconscious, do you see this old identity that wants to hold on to the past and keep us safe? That tightness in the throat, that unwillingness to speak, that unwillingness to speak our truth, to say what we feel without fear, without frustration and anger. And that the identity that wants to hold on to the past and really keep us safe. And please let it know that it's okay for treatment. We require treatment today. Please know that we require that. We want to move forward. We want that change to happen. We want to make progress towards that new goal. We want this identity to come with us. However, that's not our main identity. We don't need to hold on to that. And that fearful identity that doesn't want to speak the truth, we want the same thing. We want that satisfaction. But the new main personality wants this, and the childhood identity that was wounded needs to be released. Superconscious, do you see it? And please treat and release and do a superconscious recode on that identity, allowing it to just change. Thank you. Just feeling that shift, feeling that energy leaving your body, where it doesn't need to be tied up anymore. It doesn't need to be held in your muscles. It doesn't need to be held in your body system. If there's any feelings of anxiety, I want you to treat that and see that as excitement for the future. And just please bring one last thing into the active experience and bring into the future events, please. Please bring in those future events that we're coding up, that we're not creating anxiety, we're creating excitement. That feeling that you get, that's excitement. That's not anxiety. It's excitement for the future and what we're creating. And superconscious, do you see those future events? Yes, yep. I just want you to treat all the beliefs, all the emotions and structures around this future event. Please treat into a massive change history, and everything is needed. Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to do a little check-in. So when you're ready, if everyone can just open up your eyes and just really feel into that. Just take some nice deep breaths. If you need to have a little stretch out your neck. Just come back into your body. And just when you're back, just give me a yes or I'm back in the chat box so I can see that you're all here, and just let me know how you're feeling, and also let me know what that resistance level is at now. I'm just going to turn my camera back on here so you can see me again. Actually feeling a lot of tension in my neck. I felt a lot of release through there. Sarah's back. How did you feel, Sarah? So even just put in the chat box if you were a 5, whereabouts are you feeling now? Great. That's excellent, Marie. And just take a couple of breaths, because sometimes it can just take a little bit of time just to kind of feel back into the body. So yeah, right now, how are you feeling in terms of resistance? And that was kind of, the first level. Feel good down to a 4. That's good. That's a really good shift. It feels good. It really does. It feels so good. I could just feel so much energy moving. And when we look at it, we're so much more than a body. When I look at, what we do with Marie's a 1, wow, that's amazing. That's huge. That's really amazing. When I look at what I do with our coaching program, with, it's Fit Vibes for the ladies that don't know, we look at, body, and we look at, how we look. But it's like we're so much more than a body. We are connected to that super conscious part of ourselves, to that 0 point field, or that innate intelligence. There's so many names for it. So on fire after that. That's awesome. That's really good. So that was pretty much the intro round. Okay, so sometimes it's likely that you might be having a hard time if this is your first time, or you're not sort of quite sure what was kind of happening. It can be a bit of a hard time. So good. I would say I'm a 5 and a 6. Awesome. That's amazing, because you were right up there too, Belinda. I think you were an 8. Yeah, beautiful. Feel but feel calmer about tackling the resistance. That's good. Yeah, and sad is good. Like that's emotion, you know, sadness, all those emotions coming out, and that's really, really awesome. Excellent. So now that we kind of have a bit of an understanding now, we kind of know what that's like, and that's our first round. We just want to go in for a second round, you know, going in for round 2, like ding, ding, ding. Typically, because your brain kind of knows now what's happening, you don't sort of have that protective mechanism up. It's usually a lot easier to feel into as well the second time around, because you know how it works. I can really feel that energy and that release in my neck. That's kind of why I'm rubbing it. So sorry about that. So if it's okay with you, we'll kind of go back in now that you kind of have got that knowledge now of what that's going to be like. So let's just go back in and connect again. So when you're ready, you know, go ahead, feel comfortable again, give me permission, and, you know, we're going to get straight back into it, okay? Because I think it's, you know, nice to check in, but it's also nice just to have those shifts and that little bit more energy move again, particularly Michelle, if you're feeling a little bit sad, we can start to look at that, okay? All right, so these first couple of commands are going to be for those of you that might have struggled a little bit or might be feeling a little bit of sadness, or those maybe, you know, lower sort of emotions that you're not quite sure of. Okay, so just when you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. I'm just going to turn my camera off again for a moment. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm not going to be looking at the chat box. So when you're ready. All right. And really with this recode process, it's really about allowing, you know, with the recode, I can only really recode what you're allowing to come up. So if you're allowing, you know, lots of shifts to happen, then that's what I can work with and what I can treat. Okay. So be brave. And, you know, I just really want you to go for it. Allow those emotions to come up. You know, sometimes you might feel like you might want to cry. You might feel sad. You might feel emotional, but that's completely okay. And that's perfectly fine. Okay. So when you're ready, I just want you to close your eyes again and just give me permission energetically and permission for yourself just again to have an amazing experience, okay? All right, so just a couple of nice deep breaths again. Really breathing in, just connecting back with your body, connecting back with your breath. Super conscious, do you see this fear of change? Yes, yeah, okay. This belief, this worry, what if I can't change? This belief that I can't change, yeah. Okay, so please bring up all experiences, original events and thoughts. Those thoughts of I'm just the way that I am. Can't change. This is me. This is who I am. Tried, failed. Yeah, there's a big failure. I can see failure. I just want you to bring up all of those, and I just want you to just imagine you're putting all of those beliefs just in a big bubble, just bubbling them up. Super conscious, I just want you to pull up all of those beliefs, just put it in a big bubble. Any belief around it's difficult to change, it's just who I am. Super conscious, do you see it? Yep. Okay. So please treat into a massive change history and everything is needed. Just allow all of those ways of being, all of those old beliefs, just to stay in the past, not to affect the future. Not bringing that to the future. Okay. So please treat into a massive change history and a full super conscious recode. Thank you. Just want you to just imagine, just like you were casually just walking out to the rubbish bin, just in the yard, and you were just going to drop all of that, all of those beliefs, all of those emotions, just drop them off in the bin and just casually walk back inside. Just like it was so effortless. Just breathe and just really stay present with this. Staying present, staying there. Really stripping it back. Just where you're feeling that tension in the body, I just want you to really remove all of those emotions stored in those body systems, in the muscle system. Just letting go. And that's holding on to that tension. And that's holding on to the past. Just know that it's safe. It doesn't have to bring that into the future, into that future experience. It's kind of just like you're stripping back, and it's like you had a ball and chain around your leg, but it's not there anymore. Or maybe like you felt like you were a bird in a cage and you've just realized that the door was open and you had wings all along. And it was like you could just fly. You could just leave that cage behind and just spread your wings. And even though it might feel funny, it's like, you haven't flapped those wings in such a long time, but you just feel that freedom as you just start to really get the hang of flying. You know what that feels like now. Superconscious, do you see that new choice in life? Yep. Superconscious, I want you to reinforce that choice with love. The emotion of love, it's reinforcing that choice, that goal. Superconscious, when you see that choice, do you see resistance in the way? Just want you to bring that resistance, any of that resistance, back into the playing field and just make it part of the active experience. You don't need to know what that resistance is. We're just going to treat it in the perfect way, the perfect order. And superconscious, it's our decision to have this new reality. We're going to embrace that new reality. Just breathing into that. And please do a massive change history and full superconscious recode on any resistance in the active experience. Thank you. Just breathe into that heart center, heart starting to beat, and I think that's excitement. That excitement because that playing field is starting to smooth, and it's like that goal is so much more attainable now. And just really breathing into having patience with yourself, love for yourself. And just really reinforce superconscious, this new choice with love. And superconscious, please reinforce our goal and our choice, our end result with self-belief and self-acceptance. Superconscious, please ground all the memories that we have touched today, including memories number 1, superconscious, 2, unconscious, and 3, self-conscious. Any tandem memories, future memories, and all aspects of consciousness. Please ground them in the matrix of the universe and tag all aspects between now and the next session for future treatment. Just any resistance that you feel, I just want to really want you to breathe into that heart center in the center of your chest, just centering yourself again, bringing yourself back into the body. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to the session. All right, how's everyone doing? I'm going to turn my camera back on. I don't feel as tight in my neck now, which is interesting. So when you're back, when you're ready, type in the chat box how you're feeling in terms of the resistance. Where's your level feeling now? Did that kind of feel a little bit different to the first time? Sometimes it can. Sometimes it can bring up even more emotion. So yeah, when you're ready and when you're back, let me know how you're feeling. Hopefully everybody's back. And everybody can still hear me? That was awesome. Oh my gosh. I can just feel that, Marie. That shift just feels beautiful. That's amazing. Sarah feels good. That's so good. I feel so good. I just love doing this. It's just beautiful. So yeah, you might feel some emotions. You might feel a little bit tight. You might feel some funny sensations in your body, and that's kind of all normal. And you can kind of see too sometimes when you watch the replays of these sessions for the ladies that sort of said that they fall asleep, that it is, very easy to do that. It is quite relaxing. It's not like you really have to do anything. It's like you could just doze off. So that's completely fine. The resistance was high the first time around, so heavy in my chest and throat, and not as much this time. That's good. That's really good. I actually could feel quite a bit of tension right at the end of that session. It was like there was something in the field was like, I don't quite want to let go yet. That's why I was sort of really encouraging you to sort of center yourself and feel that as excitement as opposed to anxiety, because that's kind of how it felt. Like my heart was beating, but it kind of felt like that was excitement for something. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad everyone's feeling really amazing. So really just want to hone in on that point again. You're not broken, okay? And really that's what this is about. It's about recognizing that and just moving that resistance out of the way, okay? I feel much better this time around. I had a pain in my heart. Yeah, wow. And honestly, that's a lot, our heart center, that's our center of connection. So if you feel like you're not connected, sometimes we can feel that really heaviness in our chest. That was so good. My hands are heavy. Yeah, I do too. I actually have a lot of energy running through my legs. I always feel like it runs through my body and out into the ground. So through your hands, your heart center actually has plexuses that go down into your hands. So that's why sometimes your hands and your feet can feel a little bit numb or like buzzing. So all of those bodily sensations are quite normal. So, just allow that to kind of come up. All right. So as we're kind of coming back into the body, I really just want to go through this next section with you. And this is not going to be a long section, I should say. It's really just the 5 steps to creation, which is kind of just a summary of what we've done. Okay. So step number 1, what we did is, big heart, but yeah, I really felt that, Jody. My heart was just kind of pounding, and it was like really exciting. Beautiful. That's really good. All right. So step 1 is choose a goal. Okay. So everyone did that, and we have a process around that too, making sure that, you're choosing a goal that's actually, it's just a true choice, and there's lots of different things on and how to actually choose a true goal. But I think most of you did really well with that choice. So that was our step 1. Step 2, we went into the structural tension. We got to the, the beliefs that were coming up around that goal, the emotions that were coming up around that goal. So that's what we call the structural tension. Okay. And when I said before, success isn't personal, it's structural. That's what I mean. So it's just that you have a structure that's stopping you from getting to your goal. It's not anything that's wrong with you, if that makes sense. Okay. So then we choose the emotion of that end result. So that's kind of what we did with the recoding. It's like, I got you to experience that emotion and go, what does that actually feel like, so that we can be it before we see it. Okay. And then with the recoding, we've gone through, we've unplugged, we've recoded all of that resistance. And then the next step and the last step, and like I mentioned at the start, probably the most important step is taking aligned action, because without action, we're missing that whole part of the creation process. And that's why sometimes, if we're doing the whole law of attraction thing, is like we want to think things and have them turn up, but sometimes without taking that action. But it has to be action that's coming from that place of being inspired, not taking the action because you feel like you have to and you've got to, stick up your bum to try and, flog yourself along. That probably wasn't the best analogy, but you know what I mean? It's just someone belting you along to kind of make you do it, which is what I felt like I was doing when I had my business beforehand, So, even just write down after that session sort of how you're feeling, like what would be the obvious next step that you would take to take aligned action with that. Okay. So, for somebody that might, have a fit toned body, it might be like, all right, I'm going to train tomorrow and do a workout. Or it might be, I'm going to, eat some really good food tomorrow, as opposed to, not so healthy food. or whether it's, if you want to create an impactful business mission, like yours might be, I'm going to go out and I'm going to start talking to some potential customers or clients, or look at doing some advertising or something like that. So it's about looking at what is that action that you can take. Okay. So who feels like that was really helpful and they've kind of invested time tonight, into something that was useful and that's made them feel really good? Okay. Because like I said before at the beginning, I would sort of told you I'd go through these 3 steps, the going through the actual science of it, then going through the actual process, then looking at those 5 steps of creation, which we've just looked at. And then lastly, love it. Beautiful. That's awesome. That's really good. I love it too. It's such amazing. And it really is. I love sharing this work with people because it is so powerful if you're open to it, which you obviously are, Marie, which is great. So the next section, I did say to you, like, we do have a program that we do have. So I do obviously want to quickly run through that with you before we do finish up. If you're happy with what you've got out of this and you don't want to listen, then that's completely fine. If you do want to stick around and just listen about to the program and the masterclass that we have, I would encourage you and welcome you to stay. So we've had lots of testimonials, a lot of, like I said, the ladies in our program have been doing these recoding sessions and have been getting so much out of them. It's phenomenal. And obviously, with what I do in my health coaching business, we work a lot around health and fitness and that sort of thing, but it doesn't just apply to that. You could use this for all aspects of your life. It's like, once you know this, it's like, what areas of your life wouldn't you work on, so, you've got big things to create. So it's exciting. Okay. So, I've got a couple of ladies here. Melanie, who's a lady, she actually works as a health professional, and she actually is a Bowen therapist. Was great. I didn't really understand it until now. That's awesome, Michelle, and that's why these intro sessions are really good. Back to Mel. She's a Bowen therapist, and she was in our program. She's finished now, but she's the forefront of self-development, and that's really what this is. And it's life-changing stuff. It's really, really powerful stuff. So.